Today, we're diving deep into why Liverpool might just be one of the worst places to live in the UK. From rising crime rates to a struggling economy, and an education system that doesn't always measure up, there are a lot of reasons why calling Liverpool home might not be the dream you think it is. Stick around, because this is going to be an eye-opener. So, let's take a closer look at what it's really like to live in Liverpool. Get ready for a reality check. Liverpool, known for its rich culture, vibrant nightlife, and of course, the Beatles. It's a city that's been famous for decades. But is it really all it's cracked up to be? Today, we're going to dive deep into why Liverpool might just be one of the worst places to live in the UK. Whether you're thinking of moving here, or just curious about the state of the city, we're going to look at the struggles that make Liverpool one of the most challenging places to call home. So, let's talk about crime. Crime rates in Liverpool are some of the highest in the UK, and that's not just in certain neighborhoods. It's a citywide problem that affects everyone, even the most unsuspecting areas. Whether you're walking home from a night out or just trying to get to work, the fear of petty crime or even violent crime is something you'll find lurking around every corner. Car thefts, burglaries, and antisocial behavior are a regular occurrence, and with so many incidents reported, it's no wonder people feel unsafe walking through certain parts of the city. But it's not just petty crime. Serious violent crime has been on the rise in Liverpool in recent years. Gun crime, stabbings, and gang-related violence have made headlines far too often. It's not just a few isolated incidents, it's a consistent trend that locals are all too familiar with. And with police numbers stretched thin, it often feels like there's little help available for those who need it most. For families trying to raise children, this constant threat of violence hanging over the city can be a real concern. It's not something that can be easily ignored, no matter how much you love the city's music scene or football culture. But crime is just the beginning. Liverpool also suffers from high unemployment rates. In fact, it's one of the areas in the UK where joblessness is particularly prevalent. The city has one of the lowest employment rates compared to other major UK cities. While there's certainly a lot of potential for work in industries like tourism and retail, these jobs often don't pay enough to cover the rising cost of living. Many people are stuck in low-paid, part-time work with little opportunity for advancement, making it difficult to break the cycle of poverty. When you compare Liverpool to cities like Manchester or London, it becomes even more evident that the job market here is struggling. Those looking for high-paying, stable careers often find themselves having to move elsewhere to find better opportunities. And even if you're lucky enough to find a decent job, the cost of living in Liverpool is steadily climbing. Rent prices are rising, and while you might be able to find cheaper accommodation in some areas of the city, it often comes at the price of safety and convenience. And while Liverpool is undoubtedly rich in culture, its reputation for having some of the worst housing conditions in the country doesn't help. Many of the city's older homes are poorly maintained, with damp, mold, and heating issues commonplace. For families on a budget, finding a decent place to live without breaking the bank can feel like an impossible task. Even in more affluent areas, the pressure on the housing market is evident. There's simply not enough affordable housing, and the competition for what is available makes it incredibly difficult for people to get on the property ladder. Health is another major concern in Liverpool. The city has some of the poorest health outcomes in the UK, with residents facing a range of chronic illnesses and life-limiting conditions. Life expectancy in some parts of the city is well below the national average, and despite efforts to improve healthcare services, the situation hasn't improved as much as it should have. Factors like high smoking rates, obesity, and a lack of access to affordable, healthy food all contribute to this worrying trend. For many, a trip to the doctor isn't enough to address the systemic issues affecting their health. It's also important to talk about the city's infrastructure. While Liverpool does have some beautiful, historic buildings and landmarks, the state of the roads, public transport, and overall cleanliness in certain parts of the city leaves a lot to be desired. If you rely on public transport, you'll quickly notice the delays, overcrowding, and outdated systems that make getting around a headache. It's not the most convenient city for commuting, And if you need to use public transport on a daily basis, it can quickly become a stressful experience. You can't ignore the impact of poverty on the community either. There are parts of Liverpool where entire generations of families have lived in poverty, struggling to make ends meet. While the city's nightlife and entertainment scene might be a draw for tourists, for locals, it's a daily grind to keep up with the high costs of living. When you combine that with high levels of crime, a lack of job opportunities, and poor health outcomes, it paints a pretty grim picture of life in Liverpool. Even the city's education system has its fair share of problems. While there are some outstanding schools, the overall quality of education in Liverpool is inconsistent. Pupils in some areas have lower educational attainment than their peers in other parts of the country. This has a long-term effect, as children from poorer areas are often left behind, with fewer opportunities to break out of the cycle of poverty. Liverpool's education system doesn't always provide the support that students need to thrive, which makes it even harder for families to see a way out of their challenging circumstances. And then, there's the weather. Sure, some people might say it's character building, but let's be honest, the constant gray skies, rain, and wind can really wear you down. Liverpool might get a few days of sunshine here and there, but for the most part, it's cold and damp. For those who aren't used to the relentless downpours, it can feel like a constant battle against the weather. When you live in a city where the weather is consistently miserable, it can affect your mood, mental health, and overall outlook on life. But what about the people? Well, there's no doubt that Liverpudlians are known for their friendly nature and strong sense of community. But when you live in a place where crime is high and the local economy is struggling, it can be tough to keep a positive attitude all the time. In fact, the stress of living in a city where the opportunities are limited and the challenges are abundant can take a toll on everyone. Even the most upbeat and community-driven people can feel worn down after a while. Now, we've mentioned a lot of negatives, but is there anything good about living in Liverpool? Of course. Liverpool has a rich cultural scene, with its world-class museums, galleries, and musical heritage. There's a lot to love about the city's history and the arts. But when you dig beneath the surface, it becomes clear that these positive aspects don't always make up for the challenges that come with living here. At the end of the day, Liverpool may have a lot to offer tourists, but for those living in the city, it can often feel like a difficult place to truly call home. The crime, poverty, unemployment, poor housing conditions, and struggling infrastructure all contribute to a quality of life that leaves much to be desired. If you're thinking of moving to Liverpool, you'll need to weigh up whether the city's cultural and historical appeal outweighs the many challenges it presents. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content like this. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.